thank you very much for the invitation for this talk on past and future of automated CTG analysis. Well, I will start with some couple of words to explain how I will present my communication. Then, well, I will present an historical perspective from an initial wheel of improvement to an inevitable challenge, and finally some reflections on what is past and future. Morning. Good morning. Okay, so we are just starting the presentation. I'm just starting the presentation. Okay, so first I would like to present this kind of funny slide. We have always different alternatives to make a presentation. We can use evidence-based, and we can go to an evidence-based presentation, or kind of eminence-based, or vehemence, or eloquence, or providence, or other kind of ACEs presentations. I will not present my talk with any of these methods. I will present a narrative talk about the past and future of automated CTG analysis. This is important. I receive royalties from Speculum Portugal for the co-development of the OmniView Porto. During the last 2 years, I have received, and I still receive, royalties from Speculum Portugal. I hope this will not bias too much my presentation. It will be unintentional. I'm sorry if the presentation is too much biased. Well, let's go to the historical perspective from the initial wheel of improvement of CTG to what happened to be an inevitable challenge. Well, when did automated CTG analysis start? Automated CTG analysis started in the very early days of CTG development. And here are, we all know, Edward Hahn, Roberto Caldeiro Barcia, Conrad Hamacher. They are considered the beginners of CTG, the inventors of CTG, as you know. And this history of CTG has started, well, generally we use 1959 as the reference year. Of course, it was not spontaneous in the beginning. There were works before, but in this period from 59 to 77, CTG has started, and automated CTG analysis has almost started at the same time. So these inventors of CTG have also been the inventors of automated CTG analysis. Here you can see some of initial papers on computer analysis of CTG by Horn, by Caldeiro Barcia, and other contemporary colleagues. At this time, they wanted to enhance the possibilities of traditional CTG. They wanted to measure uterine contractions, to measure, quantify variability, to measure decelerations areas, and so on. They wanted to enhance the possibilities of traditional CTG at a time that we were still very far from the personal computers. So it's interesting how early this has begun, many years before the development of our personal computers. Okay, in 78 something has happened. Trimbos and Kears have published the first paper on observer variability in the assessment of cardiotocograms. Then other authors like Lodring and Bill Liu, for example, in Canada, and other colleagues have published during this period papers on what you have seen yesterday during the roundtable. Okay, the best way to explain what this really means in clinical practice is to remember what happened yesterday. 4 experts, 5 or 6 opinions. Okay, different opinions. Okay, so this has changed the history of automated CTG analysis, because from this time on, automated CTG analysis became an inevitable challenge, because, okay, we need computers to improve our capabilities of analysis, but we also need computers to agree and to help us to be consistent. In this period, in 85, Stigsby published this review. Well, this shows that at this time they were well aware of the problem, and if you have never read this paper, I strongly would advise you to read this paper, because it shows it is very up to date, and it is very thorough, and it shows very well the problem, and it shows that at that time a lot of work had already been done on computer analysis of CTGs before the widespread use of personal computers. Okay, also at this time we have to pay tribute to Geoffrey Dawes and Chris Redman. Chris Redman, I don't know if had to leave, unfortunately. Okay. But okay, so at this time in Oxford, these 2 colleagues have worked very hardly on the development of a computerized analysis of CTGs. Well, let me pay my tribute to these professors, because we may say that they are really the parents of modern automated analysis of CTGs. We could, of course, join here other researchers, like, for example, Kaozu Maeda in Japan. He was involved in a lot of developments in this area. But okay, I think the group of researchers that had started this work are very well represented here by Geoffrey Dawes and Chris Redman. Okay, and finally, this group came with in 91, this group came with the System 8000, a commercial version of the System 8000 that rapidly has been widespread and used in many centers, namely in the UK, for antepartum CTG analysis. Okay, during the same period, during the same period, other researchers went on with more studies on observer variability of CTG analysis, and this is one example of a paper published by our group in year 2000, and here is an example again of what you have seen yesterday. One tracing 3 independent experts, not ordinary clinicians, let me say like that, 3 independent experts classified one as normal, the other as suspicious, and the other as pathological, using the same FIGO guidelines. We gave them the same FIGO guidelines. They were used to use the FIGO guidelines, and well, this happened very often. You have here the proportions of agreement for normal, suspicious, and pathological. Not only in classification of tracings, but also in decision. Should we do nothing? Should we use close monitoring, or should we intervene with a cesarean section or a medical approach to the problem using salbutamol, as you have seen yesterday, or using an operative delivery? And in what concerns intervention, the same problem. So with these studies, we further justified the development of automated CTG analysis. It became really an inevitable challenge. Okay, during this period, other studies showing these discrepant results on sensitivity and specificity of electronic fetal monitoring. Sensitivity varying in studies with similar outcomes, because, well, different studies may have different outcomes. We cannot compare them. But comparing studies with similar outcomes, we could find papers with sensitivity for electronic fetal monitoring varying from 18 to 100, or specificities varying from 26 to 90. So we need automated analysis to help us. And here an example of a paper published, that is in a paper published by Christina, showing that if in theory we repeat a randomized controlled trial, she has done that using a theoretical model example. If in theory we repeat a randomized trial with the same cases, with the same clinicians, if we repeat in different times, we could have this kind of results. No effect, negative effect, or positive effect. And if we do a meta-analysis, we will have, of course, no effect. So during this period, it was the idea of the need of computerized analysis became stronger and stronger. Okay, at this time, other systems appeared. Here, the Porto system in 1991, the initial prototype based on a personal computer for clinical analysis. Later on, 2000, Porto 2.0, and here the group, the Porto group, the clinicians, Joao, as you can easily identify, he has been the main developer of the last versions of Porto, and he has been the main active person in this group. Here Inês, she was the main responsible for the alert randomized controlled trial and many other studies during interpartum. Also Antonia, she was in charge of the development of CTG analysis plus ST analysis, as you have seen the days before. Here Celia, that she's not here, but she has been more dedicated to antepartum. She has analyzed big data in the antepartum period. And here Paula Pinto, that has presented a PhD thesis with combined analysis of maternal and fetal heart rate, something that I will develop during this presentation a little bit, because we have not talked, well, we have talked about it, but we have some kind of interesting experience, in my opinion. Okay, so sorry, Paulo Souza, we have not here the engineers, and this is the clinical group. We have not engineers here. Paulo Souza is here with us, has been the the main developer of all our technical developments with Porto. But with him, we have had mathematicians and engineers like Marcos and other engineers, and also Cristina and Joao and Hernani, and the mathematicians group that have worked mainly in software analysis. Okay, during this time, well, we initiated clinical applications of automated CTG analysis, clinical validation, clinical trials, but at the same time, the international groups kept doing research on new methods, because these computer systems appeared as systems that try to reproduce what clinicians used to do in clinical practice. So they tried this the Sonic 8 system, the Porto system, other systems that also appeared. They tried to give an analysis similar to the clinicians, with baseline, acceleration, deceleration, and so on. During this period, other groups or the same groups tried to use other approaches, and this has been very nice. This is a kind of parallel research. On the one hand, we have the traditional automated CTG analysis, and on the other hand, we have these new methods that proved to be very interesting. And just to show you, in '92, Geoffrey Dawes and Chris Redman had already used approximate entropy for CTG analysis. So some things that we think that are new or extraordinarily new are not really new. As I showed in the beginning, automated CTG analysis started almost at the same time that traditional CTG analysis had started. Okay, other examples. Many of these authors are here, and I decided to bring this reference, but I could have slides and slides with different reference. I'm sorry if I'm unfair for any group. I tried just to exemplify that during this time, other methods, non-traditional methods, had been developed and focus of research. Okay, sorry. So here, linear and non-linear parameters, here multifractal analysis, here indices of autonomic function, multimodal and multivariate approaches, and so on and so on and so on. And other approaches had also been tried, like, as I told you before, maternal-fetal, combined maternal-fetal heart rate analysis. And I bring here these two papers. This group has published 7 or 8 papers on this issue, and I think, and I decided to bring this because, well, I think these papers are on initial research, exploratory research, and of course they are not well known, but I think it's something interesting for the future. For example, in this paper, here we have a lot of variables, traditional frequency domain analysis using low frequency and high frequency waveform analysis or frequency analysis, long-term variability, short-term variability, and also entropy, and so on. And look at these results, interesting results in my vision, in my opinion. If we here we have an analysis regarding an outcome pH of 2.20, and here, sorry, 7.20 and 7.50. And look at this. Here you have the area under the ROC curve, and look, we can get very good curves in prediction of neonatal acidemia with maternal analysis. We can get good results with maternal analysis alone, and with maternal analysis combined with fetal heart rate analysis. Can get sometimes better results with the combination of maternal and fetal heart rate analysis than with fetal heart rate analysis alone. And this is very rational for me, because as we have discussed the days before, the mother and the fetus are connected. Then the autonomic nervous systems are connected. They work together. So it makes sense from the physiological and clinical point of view, and also makes sense from the mathematical point of view. Okay, this is the same paper, and this is bivariate analysis with combination of maternal and fetal heart rate indices, and you see here that this may be a way to proceed to go on improve our results. Let me also, another interesting aspect of this paper is this. Here, H1 means we have analyzed 2 hours before labor, 2 hours immediately before labor, and we have realized that H1 is hour 1 and H2 is hour 2, the hour more close delivery, and we have realized that we have some indices that provide good prediction a long time before the final moments of labor. Okay, so if we want to predict more severe cases, we need the last minutes. Okay, but if we want to predict okay, less compromised fetus that eventually will be more compromised at the end, we can have good predictions earlier. This has also been discussed before, and I think this is an interesting discussion point for the future. Okay, another approach with Celia was, well, it's not new. Many other authors, including Redmond, Doss and Redmond, they have done this kind of analysis they call the trendgram with the Sonicate system. But we have done that, repeated this kind of experience with a lot of cases. And in this prospective study, here we have the individual curves for each fetus of the study. This is baseline. Sorry, you can't read. This here you have the weeks of gestation, and you have the progression of baseline. Here I think it's accelerations or something like that. The progression of its features, and you can see that some, in general, baseline decreases progressively during pregnancy, but in some cases. In some normal cases, it can increase. Okay, so it would be nice, now that we have powerful computers, that we have powerful softwares and mathematical tools, it could be nice to readdress this problem in the future. Okay, during this time, we have also then we have all of us have done. Sorry, these are references from our group, but a lot of researchers have kept doing research on the signal quality, and we need to progress on signal quality. We still have a lot of signal loss in our CTGs. And a lot of ambiguities. I think that even worse than signal loss is to misunderstand, misjudge fetal pattern. That is not really a fetal pattern, but is a maternal pattern. Yesterday and the days before, we have seen that in many tracings. We think we are looking at fetal patterns, and we are really looking at maternal patterns. Sometimes the fetus is dead, and we have very nice tracings. So we can't skip this problem, the problem of improving sensors, improving signal quality. We can do incredible things in future with more powerful computers, more powerful technology. But if the data is noise, if we have no data, or if the data is not good, we will do nothing interesting. So sorry to insist in these kind of problems. When I'm a reviewer of a paper, a referee, I always look very carefully to the acquisition methods, to the sampling rates, to the type of sensors that we use. Or did the authors use ultrasound or electrocardiography? Did they use simultaneous checking, double checking of the heart rate using simultaneous maternal heart rate or not? This is a problem for the future. We can't progress. I'm sorry, I'm insisting in this part, because if we are very focused on very elaborated algorithms, but we forget this basic problem, the algorithms will not give anything interesting. Okay, so this is again to show you, and these are the same tracing. This is the same tracing with ultrasound and with ECG. Yes, with fetal ECG, fetal ultrasound. You may see how different the tracings may be. This is an extreme case. Well, we don't need computers to say that this is an extreme case. But you see here with ultrasound, this is maternal, and here with internal ECG. Of course, in here we have a pathological tracing. If the computer is blind, if we don't give the right instructions to the computer is blind. And okay, very different analysis, of course. Okay, finally, during this period, prospective clinical studies have been also conducted in different areas of the world. Here we have some of them. This one published in 2005, a multi-center validation study including several European countries in the Untitled period, and also this one in the Untitled period. Both are prospective cohort studies. And finally, to come to the end period, the first randomized controlled trials appeared, as you know. The first one by Ignatov, published in 2016, and the others in 2017. And finally, the meta-analysis of these randomized controlled trials. Okay, as it has been said, the results were modestly positive, interesting, but many, of course, many problems have to be discussed, and careful analysis of these results need to be performed during the next years, and we have to try to learn with these experiences and try to progress a bit more than we have done until now. Okay, I'm finishing. Okay, so the final reflection: what is past and future? After this presentation, we have talked about Hahn, Caldera, Barcia, Dawes, Redman, Hamacha, animals, humans, sensors, computers, sonic gate systems, Porto, disagreement, acquisition mode, sampling rate, preprocessing, processing entropy, fractal signal noise, multivariate neural networks, clinical decision. Is this past or is this future? Okay, we may say that, okay, some of the persons that have done these works are not already with us. They have done their work in the past, but truly this is future. This is future, and I hope this is truly future. We Caldera, Barcia, Dawes, they are with us, with I'm sure with their vision and their experience, and I think this is with this kind of vision with this group. And also, in future, we will have to work with all these problems, with all these issues. The good thing is that in future, the power of new sensors, computers, mobile phones, internet, big data, artificial intelligence, and so on, will increase every day. So this is future with new tools. And this kind of future has been written. Okay, you have summarized what will be the future, what are the main problems we have, what we have done and what we need to do. So it has been written, and it has to go on with the spirit of this group. It's the first time I met this group, but it's very clear from the days before that you are a group with vision, with knowledge, with skills, and above all, you want to work in cooperation. Cooperation, I think, is a key word. Cooperation is a key word. We need to cooperate. Clinicians need to cooperate with non-clinicians, and clinicians need to cooperate with other clinicians. Non-clinicians from the mathematics or statistics or engineering or physics, they need to cooperate each other. Cooperation is certainly something we have to do in the future, and this group is very inspiring regarding this keyword. And talking about cooperation, allow me to show you this paper. Everyone knows this is cooperation. This sharing of data allows everyone in all parts of the world to share experiences, to test their own ideas. I hope this can also be developed in the future more and more with more data, with big data, more data, with good data, good sensors, good signal description, and so on. Okay, future. Now I'm looking at Barry Schifrin. Good morning. Okay, so the future, all this work we have done is past and is future. Future with better tools, big data, multivariate, multimodal analysis, cooperation. That will be future. But this future must always remember that, must always understand that CTG is not worthwhile without adequate information. Okay, it's very nice to predict. We can choose different predictions, models, and so on, big data, and so on. But alone, CTG is nothing. It's nothing for the patients. It can be only useful if you have adequate interventions. This is just to have a picture in this slide. But it's an important, interesting slide. This shows the progression of the cesarean section rates from year 1990 to 2015 all over the world. You see the rising of the cesarean section rates in some areas higher than 40%. Okay, so prediction of fetal condition, prediction of maternal condition has to be done together with the understanding of the patterns of intervention, of the kind of interventions, cesarean sections, medical intervention during labor, as we have discussed yesterday, or operative delivery, or induction of labor. That is a very, very important issue in the whole picture, in the whole problem. Okay, another interesting thing is that this evolution may change the the interest of CTG in practice. Because imagine that we have in one department 100% cesarean sections during labor. Would we need CTG analysis? Of course not. If we have 100% cesarean sections, we will not need CTG analysis. Maybe CTG analysis before labor, but not during labor, of course. So we have to be to pay attention to interventions. And finally, we are talking about future. I think that we have also to remember, we have had also yesterday or the day before a presentation here about this problem. Okay, we have the knowledge, we have the responsibility to remember that we have two different worlds. We have worlds where maternal and perinatal mortality is very rare, but where it is a tragedy. So in future, I think that we have to remember always that to be concentrated, to be focused on sophisticated tools, sophisticated approaches using artificial intelligence. Also focus very much in the intervention, clinical interventions, but also focused on this problem. And while we are developing complex tools, we should also try to make them affordable for every part of the world. Okay, this is what I have to present you. Thank you very much for your attention.
Any questions? First, thank you very much for waiting for us. I really enjoyed this talk. I think you made all the points I wanted you to make without even thinking about it. Extra tutorial that I didn't think about. So I really thank you for the talk. It's very inspirational.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Very much. Indeed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So given your experience in building the system to where it is today, what is, in your opinion, what are the most important things to do in the near future about the system to bring it to the next level?
The question is about our system?
Your system.
Okay. Well, we may generalize, of course, but I think we need to okay. It would be nice to combine this new processing tools using entropy, using big data, using AI. It would be nice to introduce in new versions these new tools, and of course, it would be very, very nice, but very, very difficult to introduce clinical data, more clinical data, and to help us as far as possible in decisions. This last part is very complex, very difficult, but I'm sure that with this kind of vision, the vision of this group is with cooperation, we will prevail. We will be able to do that. So I would like to further develop the system, refining the algorithms, including maternal-fetal combination, maternal-fetal analysis, to remove the artifacts of contamination of maternal and fetal signals. I'd like to introduce immediately that. I'd like to introduce entropy analysis. I would like to improve the algorithms using artificial intelligence, big data. Um, um, but then we will, the problem of decision will persist. And that area needs very complicated approaches, but you are able to do that. And using big data, of course, we will be able. I foresee a future, well, like we see in the films. We will be probably using wearable coach with sensors, or we use our mobile phone, and we'll be able to detect with more precision what's going on in a personalized, individualized way, what's going on with that particular fetus, that particular mother, and what's going on with that particular obstetrician. How will we do combine all these so that we can get the good outcome, okay, avoiding all the tragedies and so on. I think that's possible in films. That's possible. So if it is possible, we will be able to do that. Thank you for your question.
Let's monitor the decisions while making the
Yes.
decisions and have
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's right.
It has
That's
been,
interesting. Yes.
it has been observed that the lowest pH in the room is the arm holding the fetal and the endoscope to do a scalp sample. When you hold that, for those of us, there's a tremor finding the blood spot, but that arm has the lowest pH. Fetal blood sampling, now gone in many places, is an example that there is no possibility of arguing that it was done for the benefit of the obstetrician, because the posture you have to assume to be able to do it challenges most orthopedic resources that you have in your body. I think what I sense is happening, and I hope will happen, is a change in the culture. Part of the problem is the culture, not the technology, but the culture, the notion that this is an instrument of rescue, I believe, is a fundamental impediment to understanding where we need to be. Its association with medical legal issues. There's an editorial, and I urge you all to read it, in the Journal of the American Medical Association a couple of months ago. He says, how can you find me negligent for something that doesn't make sense to anyone? These are understandable cultural, societal issues, and part of what has to be done, I believe, is correcting the perspective, because what we do really is important. It really is. It makes a difference. And we need that understood.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any more comments or questions? Well, I would like to ask, first I would like to thank Prof. Bernard for this wonderful talk. I share with Antonia the emotion to see all this work, and I think we really need to know the work of so many people that actually inspired us, the young generation to continue. It was for me very important to grow with you, to learn from you, and to learn from so many historical people that are here in this room. Not ancient, but historical people that are in this room and were in this room before with us. Yes, and still are here in the present to impulsionate us to the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Regarding the artificial intelligence and big data, in the area of big data, how do you think Porto, for instance, could be turned on into an aid in terms of decision making, in terms of clinical decision making? and with your experience as well in the courts, how can that help clinicians to be more effective in interventions?
Well, as I have said, it's a very, very complex problem. We will take a lot of years to have good results. I think we will progress a lot with, I hope, with sensors and with predictions. But with decisions, it will be much more difficult. It's a cultural problem.
Yeah, that's very sad.
But we have to progress, and we will progress, of course. We have to now. We have to have good data. I think we have to work every day in order to have good data, clinical data, court data, decisions data, behavior data. Yes, we have to gather all this data. We have the tools now to have it. Okay. And then after this work, we have to use the software tool, the AI algorithms and so on to help us. And it happens in the films. So yes,
of course.
Yes.
But do you think a system can, for instance, say to a clinician, you must make an intervention?
Maybe at this time it's too early, but I think that we may progress over that.
If there is no one input from that obstetrician, do you think the system could be like saying, okay, you should look for another opinion, things like that?
Well,
do you think this will be possible? And
yes, the discussion now is humans versus AI. Okay, very, very complicated discussion.
Yeah. Well, what do you think?
Well, that's philosophy, even or religion and so on. That's very complicated.
Because in many areas, that's what's happening.
I think cooperation is the key word. Humans and robots and artificial intelligence, they have and they will cooperate. I'm sure. We will have fights and so, but we will cooperate and we will progress. I'm sure. I'm saying the films as a kind of funny thing, but in my life, I've experienced many, and I think you have already. For example, with the mobile phones, many things that are more incredible than what we saw in films 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that reality is even more powerful than films. So when I say in films it's possible, it will be possible. I'm sure it will be possible, because in my life I've seen a lot of things in real life much more incredible that we have seen in films before. Okay, mm-hmm. So it's not a joke. It's not funny. It is what I feel.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Donnie, do you want to add some comment? No.
Yeah. I my own personal very
this time we'll stick to time today and we'll take it more relaxed. My own personal view is simply said, let's blame it back to the clinicians. You know, always blame it on the clinicians. But I think talking about culture, I like to bring in this word culture into the conversation. From my experience and my observations, largely as an independent, I'm not a clinician. I'm not boots on the ground. I can only sympathize to what you guys on a daily night and basis go through. It's beyond me what people do. It's so difficult, the job, in so many ways. We were discussing last night late over Porto, so I don't want to go into detail, but everyone has a bit of a glimpse of what an obstetrician or midwife, any level of the hierarchy that we have in UK, on a daily basis, the work that they have to do. Honestly, I think your guys trying to do too much. You're trying to do more than you can actually do. That's my own personal perception. But because you have to do it anyways, you go every single day and you give your best and you have to do your best and then you deal with it. But the truth is that actually you need help. You need help. You do your best, you do great, but there is so much more that you can't do. It's such a complex decision making you're trying to do with so many unknowns, as we saw yesterday, even on a comfortable table before dinner. The decisions are so complex. How on earth can you make these decisions when 90% of the pieces of the puzzle are missing? You don't know. The truth is you don't know. But the culture is such that you're not allowed to go around saying, I don't know. How are you going to go tomorrow and do your job if you go around and tell the public that you don't know what you're doing. How are you going to go and do your job tomorrow if you keep on telling yourself, I actually have no idea what I'm doing? Of course you don't most of the time, and I admire you guys for that. But I think, I don't know, the philosophical question is how can you shift with that culture? How can the help for you guys go to you when you have to be involved in seeking that help? But then you guys have to be able to admit you don't know what you're doing, you need that help. But then everyone will blame it to the clinicians afterwards as well. Whatever we do with the softwares, we'll turn back and blame it on the clinicians. So it's just a bigger philosophical question that, I'd like to me.
Thank you.
I think you'll have a lot of later.
Software that has been, you folks have yet to develop a software that helps the clinician with his job. We have much prettier pictures of fetal heart rates and uterine activity than we had in 1958, 1960. We learned a little bit more about the physiology thanks to the people that have been mentioned in the other talks who did the clinical research and the laboratory research. So we understand something about the 5 major components of the fetal heart rate and what they mean. We have not moved a dime on impacting outcome. And in fact, CTG is not a good screening test, let alone a diagnostic test. And indeed, last year and this year, and we had a fight at the end of last year's meeting, like a barroom brawl, because what we were looking at were tracings. We had no clinical information. And those tracings are meaningless, except in the extreme. They are meaningless when it comes to helping us. So in fact, the industry has not helped the clinician. But they brainwash the clinician. The clinician really believes. They want to believe that the monitor's improving outcomes and it's giving them useful clinical information. And most of the time, no, they had a choice, was not to adopt them in their units. Okay? But they were sold a bill of goods 40 years ago. I'm being very cynical right now. I'm taking an extreme position. I'm trying to provoke you because we haven't had the barroom brawl yet this meeting. So, but I'm just old enough to remember when they were first introduced into labor and delivery floors, and I was the youthful guy, believe in technology. I thought this is great. This is going to make obstetrics much more interesting, and it didn't. All it did was give you 2 choices. Worry about this vaginal delivery or go and do a cesarean section, and that was it. But it's not But I'll talk a little bit more about it later this morning because you wanted me to. Okay.
Yeah, that's why especially I've asked you to have the last word of this workshop because I want the last word. Drinking is not like a coffee.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you. It was a great conversation. Thank you.